Hello everyone, welcome to a new video. Today, it'll be the trailer analysis for Disventure Camp All-Stars episode 12. Before this begins, a few things to note. I am not in ownership of the background footage, it is owned by Odd Nation Cartoons. This is just my personal analysis, opinions, on the scenes. If you have different, that's completely fine. In my videos, I do sections to maintain organization and simplicity. The sections for this video are trailer analysis, who's going next, conclusion. Without further delay, the first section of the video can begin, the trailer analysis.
That idiot does realize he's screwed the moment his immunity wears off, right?
I can't wait!
Beginning with Gabby and Gret at the beach. They're probably enjoying the sun or just relaxing after the past few days. Trying to get their mind off everything, especially after what happened with Gabby the previous night. Gret likely begins with being more cold towards Gabby, as Gabby might remind of old memories, more specifically the one from episode 5 where she tries to relate to Gret. Somehow, the topic probably shifts to something Yul related. Maybe Gabby mentions how bad Yul has been treating her. Something like how Rhea said, and is asking if this is what she really wants, if she's really happy in this relationship, something along that. Which causes Gret to try and justify being with Yul, stating something from the older times, restating she doesn't want to be alone, or maybe sharing some new frustrations. If it's about loneliness, given how Gabby struggles with that, maybe she offers some advice, but also makes it clear that Yul is not the solution to the loneliness. Maybe some of the trust no one mentality from Ellie partially passes on to Gret here. In the end, this grows a possible new friendship between Gabby and Gret, and shows Gret to not be nearly as cold towards her, and it allows Gabby to help out. Plus, this scene, and more shown in the trailer, is giving that Gret will finalg, get focus, and I can't be more excited about that. Before Gret and Gabby can continue chatting more, Yul shows up. Given how Yul reacted the first time Gret was in her swimsuit, I'm supposing the same reaction with him asking her to cover up or something in that line. But with Gabby there, she isn't going to take that, saying something along the lines of he had no right to treat her that way, how she would never treat Ellie in this way, etc. Whatever happens here ends with Gabby walking away, angry, given Gabby's threat from episode 10. I'm wondering if that'll come into play here? Maybe she leaves the alliance, also using Ellie's advice here, as she said to not trust them, etc. here, with Gret being mad about that due to them needing her at the moment, plus just finally getting fed up with the treatment Yul's been giving her. This could also be her just storming off from what Yul has been doing, but I think it's the previous theory, as Gabby does not mess around with that. Now, the next scene could either happen the next day, and instead Connor talks with Jake, but I'm going to be starting with this, since I think the Gret, Yul, Gabby drama wouldn't be happening at the same time as the Jake, Connor talk due to being at the same location. Plus it wouldn't be peaceful to where Jake would just be chilling there, if that makes sense. Tom seems pretty excited to be talking to Connor, maybe about his cop expertise, or Connor asked something revolving around that. I think it's very clear this conversation will eventually turn into a Jake-focused one, especially given how Connor is talking with Jake later on in the trailer, though I'm really hoping it can mostly steer clear of that. More on the Heroes Alliance strategy is one of my favorite parts of shows along this format, so the more of that the better in my mind. Connor just gives some advice to Tom probably, which he keeps in mind with Miriam's going to Rhea and Alec, one of the best villain duos. They're having a conversation which to me is probably about Connor's return. Rhea is smart enough to know and probably makes it clear to Alec that Connor coming back means it's now back to a 5 versus 5, and they needed to flip someone from the heroes to them in order to still have control. Maybe she also asks how the conversation with Jake went on top of all this. Alec, despite thinking of Connor being smarter than he originally thought, doesn't think he's much of an issue, as he thinks to just keep him on their side, which is why he responds like he does as shown in this screenshot. But I do think Alec would be willing to hear out who Rhea would want to focus on flipping, to which she would mention a lie, and thus a plan is born, which would also explain the expressions they have at one another later in the trailer. Moving on to production, Trevor is shown unsure, a tad nervous as well. My guess is that he's nervous about the meetup on Saturday, questioning if accepting the invite was the best option. Derek notices this, probably visiting to check on him or them getting ready to go, and tries to help calm the nerves, saying it'll go well, or things along that line. I'm hoping that not only Trevor gets development here, but we also get some Derek development, because I think it could be really interesting depending on what it is. Moving on to Connor and Jake. Jake is sitting, just not in the best mood. Connor comes up, trying to help out and give again some advice to him as well, just like with Tom. Maybe he also tries to get Jake's mood better. However, I also wanted to touch on how Jake was getting along with Aiden, as Aiden was getting along with him. Given how against Aiden he's been the past few episodes, I'm thinking that Connor is the reason Jake is beginning to be on better terms with Aiden. Maybe he showed that fighting with him along with Eli was not the right move strategically but also emotionally. Speaking of strategy, Connor is probably bringing up some of it with Jake. Since this is Jake, I'm not sure how well it will go, but I hope Jake will be willing to listen. Moreover, I think all of this confirms that Connor will be the new glue to the heroes. Going back to Gabby and Gret. Gabby goes to check on Gret the next day. This could be Gret going up to Gabby, but given past interactions, I'm doubting it. Yul and Gret have a fight caused by Yul, of course, which leads to Gret to just talk more to Gabby, reminding herself of how it used to be, but how it is now, and just trying to accept that. Gabby, in the end, likely suggests to either break up, stand up for herself, etc., and given Rhea will likely give Yul the fourth strike. Episode 3 was the first. Episode 6 was the second, episode 9 was the third, etc. She probably help out too, though given in the trailer I am excited for how this will go afterwards. Moving on to the challenge. All the campers are lined up as Crystal comes to explain how this challenge will work. Given the flag in the next screenshot and how everyone throughout the trailer was fighting for that flag for their life, it's probably a classic game of capture the flag. For those who don't know, it's basically in the name. The goal is to get the flag from the opposing to win. In this case, my guess is they have to give the flag to Crystal come the morning, as this challenge is shown to happen throughout the night. These expressions, as shown in the following screenshot, show Rhea and Alec prepare to commence their plans, with both Aiden and Yul annoyed because of course Crystal begins the challenge as shown here, with all the campers running determined to get the flag. In the following screenshot, we see the focus on Tom as he notices the groups running. From here, Alec, Rhea, and Gabby are shown together. I still think she might have left the alliance, at least with Alec and Rhea going with her to get her back into the alliance, maybe LOL. Other duos shown. Here are Eli and Aiden, which that's extremely interesting. Wonder if Aiden will finally tell Eli that Tess said goodbye to her in episode 9, LOL. The others not shown here, Jake, Yul, Connor, Gret. Probably went with the other Jake and Connor and Yul and Gret, which actually segues into the next scene with Gret doing the impossible, finally standing up to Yul, being upset with him legitimately, with Yul not being the happiest about this either. We're inching closer and closer to a breakup, and I'm hoping it's sooner than later. Yul getting karma is always satisfying. Moving on to the following scene, Alec is shown tackling Tom as to prevent him from getting the flag from Rhea, specifically as shown in the next scene, hoping to see more of the Alec and Tom dynamic because it seemed like it could be really interesting. Shown here, Tom must have been able to escape Alec's tackle and catch up to Rhea as they all fight for the flag like lives depend on it. Going later into the evening, Jake and Aiden are tolerating each other. This seems before the scene of them getting chased by a wolf, as neither are that nervous, and given Aiden's wave, they likely ran into one another as trying to find the flag. Something to note is that Eli isn't with Aiden, since we see her with the flag later on. I'm guessing this built up, or Aiden just wanted some fresh air as Eli stays in the cave. Jake seems to be fine with Aiden taking Connor's advice. I still don't have much hope, because even when they will begin to be on better terms, the James elimination thing will likely be brought up again, and it'll be an even bigger rivalry than it is now. Moving on to the wolf, it is shown running across, probably on the hunt for some of the campers, because in the very following scene, Aiden is being chased, in fear for what'll happen next. Speaking of, Jake is shown being tackled by both Gret and Yul. They probably stayed there, arguing and whatnot, as Jake comes and the two attack. Given how Aiden and Jake are in a completely different tree, what I'm thinking is Aiden and the wolf come here, with the other three running for their lives. In the meantime, Eli has the flag sitting there and just thinking about her entire life, Hunter, the haters, etc. as Gabby comes and sneaks up, which, how did Eli not notice? Gabby is literally right. They're LOL. Moving on to Rhea and Eli, this is one of the more interesting interactions coming up, and the parallels of this interaction with Season 2 is insanity. My guess here is Rhea is trying to gatekeep, girl boss, and manipulate to get Eli to flip onto the villain's side. If Rhea manages to pull this off, it would be very impressive. But on Eli's side of things, is that the best move for her? I guess we'll have to see what she ultimately chooses. going to another intriguing interaction. Alec and Connor are shown discussing something my thought is an alliance offer from how shocked and jumbled Connor reacts. Speaking of, this ends with Connor just refusing the offer. He never expected the villain alliance, especially after voting him off to welcome him or give him an offer, so it makes sense for this. I don't see why else it would be such a shocking reaction. Moving on to Derek, he's just sad. Maybe the Saturday meetup didn't go too well, and he doesn't understand why. Or maybe Trevor showed his jealousy through and through, and he's too oblivious to realize the truth. Either way, again hoping this ends in him developing, segueing to Jake and Aiden with the Volf as Aiden sees to jump, but learns quite quickly that won't work out as both Jake and Aiden are terrified. I feel like this experience will bond the two a little bit, again thinking of a backpedal, but I guess it's better for them to not fight, even for a short amount of time. The following scene shows Gret going in her villainous era as she trips Tom successfully, which he didn't see coming at all. This allows Gret and maybe even Yul to get the flag and bolt as Tom is annoyingly therein defeat. Moving on to one of the interactions I'm extremely excited for, Rhea and Gabby. Rhea will probably try to bank on the fact of Gabby's insecurities or try to manipulate her like a lie, which she is more receptive to since Gabby is a huge Rhea fan as confirmed in DCA's episode 1. So she listen a tad bit more, and if Gabby did leave the alliance, Rhea will pull her right back in. This could also be her trying to convince Gabby to vote for Tom if it's really needed, as they used to be friends. Overall, this interaction could go so many directions, and I'll need to see more to Tom and Eli to seem to have an awkward and confusing conversation of sorts, probably from Tom being extremely confused on something. We're talking about Tom here, as the two look into the distance. Maybe some other heroes are showing up or along that line. To the elimination ceremony, the only thing that's notable here is Ali's expression. It makes sense both if she flipped or didn't, which makes it so much more interesting. And Rhea's confidence is radiating through the screen. LOL, whatever happens here will be intense. With all scenes analyzed, this section can finish as the next one begins. Who's going next?
That idiot does realize he's screwed the moment his immunity wears off, right?
I can't wait.
For this, I'll be separating it into who will go most, starting with the villains, then going to the heroes. It'll also begin with who I think will go the least, to who I think will go the most. Starting with Gabby and Gret, both are in the full middle of plots, with Gret finally getting more focus. To me, it'd make no sense if either went this episode. Rhea still has immunity from the previous challenge, meaning it's impossible for her to go. This leaves Alec and Yul. Alec could go, however, I'm not sure if Connor would be fully sold on the idea itself, and plus I don't think the heroes are smart enough to vote him off. So that leaves Yul. Might be a tad predictable, but it makes the most sense. The heroes always play to emotions as shown by who they target, Rhea. Since Rhea isn't on the table, they'll probably go for Yul due to him being Yul, and it's not like anyone from the heroes would be against this. Speaking of which, onto the heroes. Firstly, Connor still has his immunity in check, so he cannot be going. Jake has unlimited plot armor and will remain probably till the finale at this point, so I don't see him getting eliminated yet. With Eli, she's finally back on track. And especially given Rhea chatting with her, and if she flipped, I don't think the villains would target her, so she's also safe. This leaves Aiden and Tom as options. Even if Rhea's annoyed with Aiden along with most of the audience, from what I've seen, I don't see why the villains would target him specifically only if Tom had immunity, but by how hard they were targeting him in the challenge, I don't think so. Leading to the last option, Tom, I'm leaning a lot more towards Yul being eliminated. But if it isn't him, the only hero I could see going is Tom. The villains are targeting him in the challenge. I don't see why they wouldn't target him in votes, especially since they can't vote off Connor. With this section finished, the final section can begin, the conclusion.
That idiot does realize he's screwed the moment his immunity wears off, right?
I can't wait.
Thank you so much for watching this video. What are your thoughts, theories on the trailer? I would love to see in the comments down below. Hope that you return to the channel and have an awesome day, night, goodbye.